SDE was having to do too much himself without another outlet. Yeah, but it was a thrilling finish, and the Knights in front of a really good home crowd got to get a win. So I think, entertainment won in the end.
Yeah,
Cowboys.
I actually switched this on just for in time for the golden point extra bit, so that was a good point to switch it on.
Yeah, and I mean, I know it's just always like a kickathon, isn't it? But it was, you could sense the atmosphere and the excitement, and I'm glad that it got a resolution, because if it had kept going on much longer, I would have been really, really late for work rather than just a little bit late for work. After that, it was the Cowboys 20, the Sharks 14. West Tigers in an upset over the much fancied Sydney Roosters. It was West Tigers 10, Roosters 8. The first of the double header from Perth, I think this one will have been.
Yeah.
The Rabbitohs with all the Burgesses wasn't enough. Went going down 32-18 to the New Zealand Warriors, who finally got the monkey off their back and won in Perth. Blake Green was instrumental in that one for them. It was the Bulldogs 18, the Storm 36. So the reigning champions got off to a good start there. It was the Panthers 24, the Eels 14. So no dream return on his second debut for Jared Hayne there. And it was the Titans 30, the Raiders 28. And I would have wanted it to go the other way, because the Titans didn't play their English forward, Joe Greenwood. I'm not sure what the crack is with him. I expect he'll probably be back in Super League next season. And the Raiders did have Elliot Whitehead playing. I think he grabbed a try, but it wasn't enough for the Canberra side. So yeah, and we also had one review in from the live sports televised National Conference League game. So do you want to take us through that result and the review on that one, Sarah?
Yep, it was Rochdale Mayfield 6, Egremont Rangers 22. And Dr. Hideous says conditions were awful with poor light and rain tipping down on an already muddy pitch, but there were few errors and the game was played very quickly. Egremont were on top right from the start and led 6-16 at half time. In the second half, the rain stopped, but by then it was an utter mudbath, causing more errors. Scoreless second half until a 90-metre breakaway almost on full time. Final score, Egremont won 22-6.
Fair enough. Well, it's good that the amateur games are getting even more coverage. I wasn't. I was watching. It's a shame that it kind of clashed with the Catalans game, and I forgot to record it, to be completely honest. But we'll hopefully catch up with some of those games as the year goes on. And people send in reviews from any game you see across all levels, and they'll get covered on the Super League pod, unfiltered and in full. As long as you get it on the Google form by 10 p.m. on a Sunday, you're golden by me. Okay, we're going to move on to the preview and predictions in a second, Sarah. So make sure you jot down what you think is going to happen, and we'll face off for the bragging rights. Right, so we move through to previews and predictions. This is sponsored by Payroll Central UK Limited. Payroll Central is a family-run business based in Derbyshire offering an outsourced payroll service for businesses across the UK. Unlike many accountants who offer payroll as a side service, these guys are fully qualified payroll specialists who provide a payroll service for businesses in every sector, of any size really. Visit payroll-central.co.uk, and if you mention Super League Pod when you contact them, they will give you an amazing 1 month's free payroll service and a 10% discount on their normal prices. So if you do run a business of any size and you need a bit of help managing your payroll, certainly get in touch with them, because that's a really quality deal that those guys are offering up to SLP listeners. It's round 6 of the Super League, and we start on Thursday night, as is the norm. It's a 7:45 kickoff for the Sky Television cameras, and they are at the John Smith Stadium for Huddersfield versus Hull KR. It feels like Hull KR have been on a ton already this year, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. They're making the most of it while they're still in Super League.
Shots fired. Right, how do you see this one going?
I can only see it going one way, and that's Huddersfield's way. I don't think Rovers have got enough to offer. And I think if Huddersfield turn it on, then they could win by a decent amount. I've gone for Huddersfield by 20.
Yeah, I agree that Huddersfield should win this one at home, and they seem to have they've got people like McGilvery back in the side now, so they're scoring a bit more tries. I think they've got a few of the players that have underperformed so far this season, maybe like Mamo and Ikehefo. They've made contributions the last game. So I've got them winning as well. Hull KR, I think they miss Sean Lunt. I think he's an important player for them. And I just think, I know Masso's a big lad, but is not on the field long enough to make enough impact. I just think the forwards are just workaday. I don't have a problem with any of them in terms of the effort they put in. I just don't see them getting over the
You
top of
can't
an
have a
opposition
team full
enough.
of them, can you? That's the problem.
Yeah, I don't see them ever setting a platform as much.
No.
Uh, and so Atkin and Maguire are always behind the eight ball, I feel there. So I've gone 26-16, a narrower margin than what you predicted, just because mostly I don't fancy Huddersfield to score a ton of points, but we're both going for a Huddersfield win there. Thursday night Sky game is probably going to be one of the best games so far, let's hope, but not hype it up too much and be disappointed. But that's going to be St Helens hosting the Leeds Rhinos, also a 7:45 kickoff, and I've got to keep backing the Saints, and it's hard for me to do it as a Wigan fan, but they're very exciting to watch at the moment. I don't know how many points they're going to score this week. I'm because Leeds' defence is very, very good, but I've still got them scoring 4 tries. I've got it 24-16. I think it'll be, a 1-2 score margin in
Yeah.
favour of Saints. I don't think it'll be a hugely high scoring game, but I think it'll be an entertaining one. What do you think's going to happen?
Well, I think Thursday night's TV match is going to be spent talking about how Friday night's match is going to be a preview of the grand final. And I think it's probably going to chuck it down with rain then on Friday and mean that it's a truly terrible match.
Proper grand final preview though. We get rain in
Yeah.
in October usually.
And about how it's unbeaten Saints against the current champions. Sorry, Rob. Um, but I think Saints will win it. I've gone for Saints by 10.
Yeah, so pretty similar there. Let's see if we can go any different at all for Friday night's other game. Are you going to be making the trip across to the AJ Bell for
We
Salford
are,
versus
yes,
Hornsey?
one of Joshua's favourite grounds.
Oh, so he's going to be in attendance as well. So everyone,
If he behaves himself the rest of the week, he will.
I'm
Yeah.
sure, I'm sure he will. I'm sure he don't want to miss another away trip this year. Uh, how do you see it going then? I'll give you first crack on this one, given it's your team.
Well, I think um, hopefully the problems at Salford will unsettle them enough, and it'd be nice to think some of our players will click a bit better. I don't know. I don't know whether Burrito's expected back or whether we'll carry on with Logan on the wing. Same with Kelly. I don't know whether he's going to be back yet or not. I mean, we'll have no Pia, we'll have no Watts, no Houghton. But I think, given the team that we had out against Leeds, we should have enough, and I think we'll, in the end, comfortably win it. I've gone for us by 22.
Yeah, I've gone very similar. I think the unrest at Salford it's going to be around for a few weeks if people think that they're up for sale. Basically, if the players are up for
Yeah,
sale, they're not. There's going to be uncertainty there. The players in the dressing room are going to be looking at each other, thinking, "Are you looking for a way out, or are you really playing for us, or are you playing for a deal elsewhere?" And that sort of stuff is gonna just for a short spell. I hope going to cause them a bit of unsettled play, like you say. And I also think one of the great things of you guys bringing in all these whole kids, going from just a, a smattering of whole players who've come through to having a whole core to the side like you had last week was the great spirit. And those kids have played together for a long
that's
time.
what I said. Come through all the academies together. They know how each other play rather than just dripping one or two of them in by putting a handful in. They're used to playing together.
Yeah, and I know most of them are forwards, so maybe the interplay and stuff doesn't necessarily happen so much. But what you do have is you have a group of lads who've got each other's back properly, and
Yeah,
that team spirit will be much tighter for Hull FC, I think, in this game than for Salford. And I'm sure Jake Connor will pantomime villain it up with some words in some ears in this one, no doubt. I've got you winning 28 points to 6 because I don't know how good your attack is yet this year. You seem to be faltering a bit. but I just don't see Salford scoring hardly any points, and I think
No.
you'll take this one quite convincingly in the end. Saturday night we get it's one of our weeks with the bonus third Sky game, 5 o'clock kickoff for Catalan versus Warrington. Hopefully they'll have found some microphones and a decent connection to have the sound a bit better. And yeah, I'm going to tip the home side to follow up on last week with another win. I think they're going to be buoyed by that. They've shown the grit and togetherness, and I think that's going to be an important thing for Catalan, especially given they've got a half an Aussie side, half a French side. I think wins will bond that group together, especially tough wins where they had to dig it out and they can start relying on each other and trusting each other. I think in Albert they've got a quality halfback, and I just think that Warrington are getting in their own way. They're making a lot of mistakes. They're not attacking very convincingly. So I think Catalan are gonna take this game. 22 points to 20 though. It's only going to be a narrow win for the Dragons, but I think they'll win it. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I've gone the other way. I've gone Warrington by 8. Again, I don't think that there's going to be a massive amount in it, but I do think that Warrington are going to have just enough to get over the Catalan side. I just didn't. I know that they beat Rovers, but it was so tight, and I just don't see that they've really got a lot more to offer.
And it was only Rovers, weren't it?
Well, yeah. um, yeah, so
Rovers fan Tim Griffiths will be back on the show next week to return fire.
Yeah, no, I mean, in seriousness, they are both bottom 4 teams.
Yeah, they are.
And I think Warrington will be just above that. So, yeah, I've got Warrington by 8.
Okay, we've got another game on Saturday this week. It's a 6:30 kickoff at the Mobile Rocket Stadium for Wakefield versus Widnes. What do you think will be the outcome of this one?
I think Wakefield will get back to winning ways. I don't know. Yeah, I've gone for Wakefield by 12. I don't think it'll be a massive win, but I think that they'll have just about enough to come over Widnes. I think Widnes have recovered properly from the appalling performance from last week.
Yeah, Widnes have got some good players and they can compete, but not for a full game. And I think Wakefield can play a full 80 minutes against this Widnes side. So I agree with you. At 28-14, I've got the score down. That's in favour of Trin. So pretty similar to what you've gone with. I was quite impressed by Widnes the other week for about 20 minutes. I was impressed by Wakefield for more than that, I think, in the game against Wigan. I just think with those big forwards, they'll dominate what is an underperforming, underwhelming Widnes front row. And I think Tyler Randall being back in, it gives them a bit of spark and it gives them a good change-up option at the hooker position for Wakefield. So I just don't think Widnes will be able to cope with all of that and the constant size after size that Wakefield bring on. And all that does is create space out wide for tries to be scored by great finishers. So 28-14.
Yeah.
Final game of the weekend sees my Wigan Warriors travel to Castleford on Sunday. It's a 3:30 p.m. kickoff. This is two of the front runners for the competition by the bookies pre-season, and two sides that are coming off wins. So hopefully should be an entertaining game. I will let you have first crack at this one.
I've gone for Cast by 6. To be honest, I wasn't sure which way to go. I think it'll be a very even match, but I think maybe just that one score.
Yeah, well, it's not going to be a shock to anyone listening to the show that I've gone for Wigan. I've gone for a 30 points to 20 win by Wigan. I haven't seen a lot of Castleford yet this year, but I haven't seen enough to convince me that they're piecing it all together. Now maybe they'll raise the game against a Wigan side because boy does their coach hate us, but hate our coach in particular. So that's a feisty thing to sort of set this one up with. Yeah, and
Zach Hardacre signing for Wigan.
Yeah, exactly. That's another kind of one that'll be boiling up in sort of in the dressing rooms maybe before the game. But I just think Wigan have been playing really well. They've been playing full 80 minutes. Even in the game that we lost, we were the better team in the last 20 minutes, which was probably a surprise given that we'd come off the plane and not had any training, but we were still better than Warrington to finish that game. It's just a shame we didn't play for the first 60. But Wigan have been really putting together some solid halves of rugby where they've been scoring a lot of points and defending well for the rest of the game. So I just don't. I just think we're going to be better and